podcast you cheer for. Sneaker, business, talk. It's the Soul Material Podcast.
And welcome once again to the Soul Material Podcast, the podcast you cheer for. I'm your man, the OGEO.
All right, it's T-Mark, the Street Shark. We're back.
We are back. We're going to give you some of that sneaker business talk and heavy on the business side as we will talk about Foot Locker exclusively in this episode. And we have talked in previous episodes about how some stores, models, et cetera, have bit the bullet. Sports Authority, you can go down the line of things because COVID, business tactics, improper business, and so forth. But somehow Foot Locker keeps on ticking. And even with the closing of all Foot Action stores, and now the recent news of them planning on closing 400 stores within the next 3 years, rebranding. We just want to talk about how Foot Locker, who has now been in business for 49 years, going to make it another 49 as they continue to adapt with the times, and they're still kicking. And I wanted to kick the U-Shark to say, what is Foot Locker doing now to somehow ensure that they will be around another 49, 50 years?
Well, again, this is a ongoing story. That's why we're covering it this way, because it's not even that it's segmented. Like we're for long-term listeners, I hope that you've caught on to that we're telling you what's happening like before they're telling you what they're doing. And these are classic playbooks of the marketplace change. So now they're adapting. They see the future because of the after sale market. So they know that that's where there's more money over there. So it's like, let's get out of the middleman game. And then Nike took themselves out of the loop. That's a big factor into Foot Locker making these decisions, because Nike is the anchor brand. So if they aren't going to ship you the same exclusive product, then you might as well, either you change or you fold. You don't have any other options in between. Trust me, I've worked in this industry. I've seen what it looks like when a store has Nike and does not have Nike, because Nike used to have rules in those mall stores about oversaturation. So depending on what market you were in, you couldn't have more than 5 or 6 stores that had I don't even care if it was the basic Nike account. They just didn't want all the stores having the stuff. So like some stores you had to open up and then wait for their clearance or whatever, and then they'll roll you in. And that's only based on being a national retailer and already having the existing relationship. But they take that stuff serious. Well, they used to. And even with the street stores too, that some of that rule, there's a proximity of who was in that shopping center or whatever. But that rule was more enforced for the mall. So it actually doesn't surprise me that they're getting rid of the malls. Because what we talked about on this podcast too is, post-pandemic, the mall scene is different, and if you aren't engaging your customers on multiple levels, then you're not going to get people going to the mall anymore. The casual shoppers are families, and that's an outing now. You're not, depending on what city you're in, as far as how the raffles and works, the lineups and camping. Camping is dead anyway, so. I feel like this move to and again, closing the stores, 400 stores, that sounds like a dramatic number, but that's over a couple years. Okay, so that means they're just going to fade out. They're just going to not replenish the stock, and liquidate, and this is this. So after probably the holiday season for this calendar year of 2023, everything's just going to be rolling out. So visit your malls. So that's the order acquisition tip. Visit those Foot Lockers this year, because this is a wrap. And then they're going to invest more in rebranding. All right. So that means that they're going to take those street stores and they're going to remodel them. All right, and we've seen this with a few other stores where they'll remodel it, get rid of some of their old. So it just looks more than racks and shoes on a wall, right? It gets a little boutiquey, not too boutique like the Sports Zone boutique, not that, because that didn't that came and went. But it's just more of a modernized feel,
experience.
and it's now an experience, right? You're going to see stores. You're probably going to see a video wall or something like that somewhere now, and all these little interactive touch points. It may not be a physical touch point, but so that's happening. And then part of their rebrand, they're saying they want to rebrand. I think they call it the Lace Up Initiative, where part of it is they want to, they want to redo their brand. If they're going to redo their brand, what is it? Is it going to get modernized, or is it going to go back to the core essence? Like, that's what I'm waiting to know. Because if it's Foot Locker, part of me wants to see the hoop and the scoreboard show back up in the store. Give me some hardwood settings or whatever, and give me an old TV up there, or the video wall, and watch some NBA on NBC while in the store. You've heard us talk about that stuff, but that's part of their strategy. And like, they even put a line in the I guess the talking points that are public now for what their strategy is. Like, there's even a line in there that they want to reconnect with the sneaker culture and do more sneaker stuff. And I'll just always keep saying, like, unless you're hiring a sneaker person, then good luck, because you're not going to really. It's going to be optical. It's going to be a novelty. And I just I'm interested to see how that's going to work out. And then a couple other things. Again, I'm very keen on them saying that they were going to, one of their options is to remodel their stores. Because what is that going to look like? Is it going to be regional? Or is you're just going to come with the cookie cutter immediately, or is there going to be some big market tests here or something like that? So it's interested to see what that is. And the last thing I say is something I said in the previous episode when we were talking about the retail experience. We told you what the future was: omni. All right, omni-channel, and they specifically said they want to be best in class in omni moving forward. Like, there's a reason why that was the last line item of their talking points. All right, because I feel like that's what they wanted to that sticking point of we want to be best in class in omni. And again, that's just the seamless experience and journey from digital to physical. So however they communicated with you on social media, emails, text, whatever it is, whatever the engagement is digitally, it's a seamless transition from you getting those messages all the way to your point of purchase, where you purchase it on your mobile device, on the laptop, or actually getting to the store. Either way, it's not a singular journey for each type of communication. It's one loop that says, the end game is to get you to purchase here, but we want to take you on this journey. Sometimes it's an educational thing. Sometimes it's you got to educate people on the products, or let them know what's coming out, or just how they communicate. I was actually talking to someone explaining this concept to them, and they were just like, wait, you talked about that on your podcast? And I was like, yeah, it's sneaker business talk. And this is heavy on the business. And then I said, but I learned about this 4 or 5 years ago, and have given recommendations on different strategies to utilize this. But now it's becoming more known. And that person was telling me, hey, I did walk through a mall, and I walked past multiple stores, and my phone kept going off. And I was just like, because you're linked, and that's kind of the concept of getting a push notification when you're in the vicinity of the store. They're gonna push you a coupon or push you the deal of the day. If it's Nike, they know you have the running app, they know you like certain things, and they're gonna push that to you when you're walking through the entrance to the store, or you're in the zone of that store in the mall. So I'm actually surprised that more people haven't been complaining about it already, especially an older demographic that just doesn't understand that the whole world just got geotagged, and you can just walk around, and
getting pinged.
yeah, get pinged, and they know who you are. So yeah, those are the Lace Up initiative. I just wanted to break down those details. And we'll peel back the layers in a second, but just really like Omni. I just want to keep honing in on Omni because it is a big integral strategy for marketing, because it's literally the umbrella to all of the other pieces, right? So it doesn't matter how many different social media platforms you're on, you are trying to have one seamless experience all the way through. So that doesn't mean just the same stuff over and over again. That means that in order to be successful at Omni, you have to understand who the end user is. It doesn't work if those special catered journeys, you can't build that stuff if you don't have enough data on the individuals, to be able to, build that experience for them. So that means that people, either you're gonna have to be more open-minded to participate in stuff like this, or you're just gonna have to, shut it all the way down. But that's what I don't suggest for your auto acquisition technique. Let it work for you. Don't be intimidated by the technology. Don't be intimidated by the what you think is an invasion of privacy and this and this. I actually work in I'm a compliance officer in real life, so just that your data is actually secure. The way that you're signing up, they're not taking your credit card and charging it for you. There's this thing called like openless apps, where you don't have to be in the app to still get notifications and posts and get things sent to you, pushed to you. So again, there's this open air, openless space mixed in with your your Bluetooth areas that are locked into these geotags. My suggestion is to just learn a little bit more about these spaces. So more, if you want to avoid something, you can avoid something. But it existing, we're beyond that now. Well, it does exist, yeah, it's like the metaverse. I always think about that Dave Chappelle example of when he did the skit on the internet, and he was like walking through the mall,
which is 20 years ago, believe it or not.
Yeah, but it was relevant to like how you get spammed, or it's like, hey, buddy, come on over here. But it's that spoof is real life. You're literally walking through the mall, but you're in the metaverse. All right. And so much is happening that they're just saying, don't worry about the malls anymore. We'll catch you outside in the streets while you're grocery shopping. That's more important. Like the mall is fish in a barrel. All right. A lot of your mall customers, they're not there for that store. They're there for the experience of the mall, which is why we talked about who the sneakerheads are, or the sneaker consumers, in previous episodes. And we're talking about families are more prevalent to walk around malls in groups rather than the individual to go get the one thing, the one and done. If you're the one and done, you're more than likely the stock locator that use some of our other advice with style numbers and all that other stuff. But the street store, like, that's the savvy person. The savvy person is going to the street location because it has less foot traffic. Therefore, if you want that wheeling and dealing that the OG has told you about too, you're probably going to go to a street store because you can go at an odd time, and you can just talk to those people. They're not going to be notoriously busy like they are at the mall, because mall has foot traffic. Those stores have people in them that are never going to buy. But street stores, that percentage of people not buying goes down when it's a destination location rather than this communal location of casual shoppers. So
definitely.
So I think that's another strategic reason why they're moving away from the mall. There's some overhead associated with rent for a mall versus a street store location, because depending on the mall, it's not all like their prices for square footage. You don't get to lock in to deals at the mall like you do in a street store when you're renting out that space, right? So, and then the malls, you gotta sign longer agreements. There's nobody, no Foot Lockers, maybe these little kiosk people, whatever, but you're not going to sign a
1 year lease.
You're never going to sign a 1 year lease.
No.
So it's like 3. It's like the minimum almost. So that's why it's going to take this rollout for them to close the stores, because contractually they still have to occupy the space.
There you go.
They're just not renewing. That's what they just told us. They really should have just told us, we ain't renewing. So, and then we're going to downsize after we don't renew 400 agreements or whatever it is. But so that's code translated for a Soul Material audience. Give you that sneaker business talk, more clarity over popularity. So,
and speaking of business, Sharp, what I found very intriguing, Foot Locker's current CEO, she was very transparent about revitalizing, renewing, and refreshing the relationship with Nike. And over the past decade, you could have been an outsider looking in, and you would have known some things were going on between Foot Locker and Nike. And as you already stated a few minutes ago, Shark, that you see what happened in stores when they don't have a Nike account or relationship with Nike go sour. And a lot of the terminology that has been used by the CEO publicly is a direct relationship with Nike, saying things that Nike are saying. So they're in cahoots and they're in hand, obviously. And I'm intrigued like you, because I'm saying to myself, just maybe a decade ago, you guys were shutting down your quote unquote street stores. And now there's potential of you closing these 400 stores, 125 of them being low volume or low producing or low profiting Champ stores. But then somehow down the line, reopening the street store again for the street experience. So again, this is why Foot Locker has stayed alive as long as they have, and they continue to thrive, because the adaptability, having people in place, as you always talk about, Shark, you got to have people in place, in power, that are willing to say, hey, I don't know when on last time, we'll bite the bullet. Apologies. How do we get this thing moving forward? Because it's a partnership at the end of the day. And Nike's kind of let companies know, with the direct-to-consumer model, we really don't need you at this point in time. You kind of need us. So, I'm just saying.
I think that there's a real estate game at play here, meaning, the cannibalization of their own territory. That's what they're getting. They're getting rid of that surface layer, that dead skin, because part of the strategy is just underperforming stores are going to get closed regardless. It don't matter if you're a street store or a mall. Part of the strategy says if you're underperforming, then you're gone too. But my point with the real estate concept, meaning if we're in the Washington, D.C. area, let's just say cross over to the Northern Virginia side. How many Foot Lockers are there in, I don't know, 15-mile radius? It's more than one.
Definitely.
Is it more than 3?
Depending on where you are, yeah.
Yeah, so let's just say Northern Virginia, right? And I'd say as soon as you cross over, you got the Pentagon City, you got Springfield, you got, there's actually one here at Landmark, and there's Tyson's, and there's actually a new one.
Fair Oaks.
Yeah, but then there's another one in Northern Virginia that just opened up too, like a community. That's a Nike store, not a Foot Locker.
You got Manassas Mall.
Yeah. So my point is, let's just say 6 stores. All right. Let's do a round even number.
I'll say 10, honestly, but yeah, I'll go with 6.
Yeah. Let's just say, because I just want to, what would happen? Would the 6 stores hurt you if you only had 2? Right? Because those pool of people, you might get more out of it because they all have to go to, they don't get the choice to go to for convenience, right? Like I'll put it to you like this. I was talking about older generations and my parents and others, and eating habits and things like that, right? Why were they different? Because you didn't have conveniency back then. You know what I'm saying? So my point is, if you a grocery shop, but you know, my parents grew up in the South, so if you have to drive 30 minutes, 40 minutes to get to the grocery store, you're gonna make sure you get everything you wanted and that you need, and there's no doubling back, there's no running to 7-Eleven. They didn't have any of that stuff. You know what I mean? So your buying habits were different. So this is what I'm talking about. If you have to travel longer than you normally did, instead of 10 minutes, now it's 20, 25 minutes. Okay, in DMV travel time, and even though that's only 2 miles, so you do that, and you might be better off, because I feel like you're always gonna maintain the sophisticated customer. You're gonna lose the casual consumer that has low volume and dollar amount. I mean, low volume and quantity, low value in average dollar amount per sale, and the future frequency is the retention is low anyway. So this is almost like now I'm getting into like real business, like sustainer models and stuff like that just says the retention is greater with the more sophisticated consumer. So you're actually clearing some of the landscape so that the sophisticated consumer can thrive a little bit more, because they were already going to do the work.
So outside the loss of jobs, you're saying that this is going to be kind of insignificant in many ways, as far as from a strict business standpoint, with Foot Locker moving
because you start to wash a little bit, right? Because they're already losing. So it's addition by subtraction. You get rid of the stuff you're losing, and then you gain that way because you don't have the diminishing returns eating into what you have. It's a clever play, and that's why we're peeling back the layers over here for that clarity over popularity, because you're gonna, knowing this exists, knowing what their strategies that they are, like, again, consumer, we've been saying this since day one. You have the power. You kind of help dictate this journey. They're only reacting to the marketplace.
There you go.
But this time it's a dramatic shift. We've explained a lot of the things that have gotten to this shift, but at the end of the day, I think that just kind of maybe the tier zeros come back. Maybe the energy stores come back.
Maybe Foot Locker exclusive comes back.
That's what I'm saying,
with
because
Nike partnership.
Well, I don't think they're going to have all of that because Nike's going so direct to consumer that they don't want specialized product through these retailers like that. They'd rather collab with the artists and do something on their platform than go through these retailers anymore. You know what I'm saying? So that's what's going to be harder. They might pick up the collaborative, the package or whatever, but they may not. I say that they might get the release. Or if there's pieces and there's apparel, they might not get all the pieces, and they might not be a part of the campaign, right? Where Nike has, it can, they'll tell you where you can buy it. They don't always say go to Foot Locker though.
There you go.
You know what I mean? Especially if they have it themselves. If they have it themselves, they're not pushing anything for Foot Locker. Foot Locker just has to be like, well, our release is this day. You know what I'm saying? So actually, Puma may be a better example because of their Foot Locker partnerships and then their independent partnerships that they do that are collaborations with artists and athletes with a whole collection. I'm thinking like Corday right now with the high level thing, because their stuff on Foot Locker that they don't have on the Puma site. Like some of the apparel is on the Foot Locker site, but not on the Puma website. Puma only has the shoes. You would think it would be the opposite. But for someone like Corday, I felt like him having his apparel in Foot Locker is what he wanted, because he wanted that consumer there's no Puma store for them to walk around into. You know what I mean? So it's like your friends at museum having museum apparel in Foot Locker. There's still value for what they do for that to be there. You know what I'm saying? So like those are the type of things where do those relationships go when the landscape starts to change? But you still got more time. But maybe more of that actually happens. Maybe that's part of the specialized stuff that you're gonna, each market or bigger markets they do more collaborations for apparel or something like that. I don't know. But if it's they want to touch into the culture, they had to know that it's bigger than sneaker culture. It's a lifestyle. It's not even this lifestyle. There's so many different aspects to it. So feel free to give us a call. Your favorite cultural consultants, and we'd love to talk sneaker business because that's what we do over here at the Soul Material Podcast. So yeah, I think that's a good checkpoint for there's so many layers to this conversation, which is why we had to make this
continuous
episode. We're going to do this again with more as this story unfolds. I feel like we've done at least like 4 or 5 episodes to have this lineage over the last 10 months from last season to this season, that is continuing to evolve. Again, keep tuning in to the podcast you cheer for because we have the answers. Yeah, and there's more to come.
Definitely. It's just that with what has gone on and what's been publicized, Shark, I'm just wondering who's really running this ship, because the way it sounds is that Nike's running this ship and Foot Locker is following. And I'm just intrigued because we've seen in the past where when things may break, this new CEO sounds like she's about change. She sees what's going on and she's willing to adapt. And we'll see what goes on. But I'm intrigued to see when the next hiccup is going to come, because it's coming, because it's just business. It's coming.
Yeah, and they just need that sustainability. I think that's what you're referencing with the CEO, because we've talked about the sustainability of if you don't have your anchor, like, can you stand alone by yourself? I think that the answer to that question was no. And then the CEO is coming in and saying that we need a new answer, because the answer needs to be yes, which is rebrand, get back to basics, trim the fat, like all of that stuff. That just sounds like a workout plan to me. Eat right, drink water,
eat your vitamins
exercise 3 times a day. You know what I mean? That sounds like a regular prescription,
brother.
But it's just interesting how that never the common sense answer that's right underneath your nose never gets applied or whatever. So good to have fresh talent, but again, it's who you consult with, who's going to help you along the way. You're going to need those cultural consultants, and listen, because you can't force anything here. So we'll see what happens, but Soul Material told you so. The future is omni. All right, omni-channel. It's a life. It's a part of your lifestyle now, whether you know it or not. There are people in boardrooms talking about it, and how to create these experiences. It's just it's a playground out there. And just the more the better you're equipped to find those deals and stay safe and secure, and have that peace of mind about the technology and everything that's going on. So
definitely.
There we go. Yep. So there you go. Another episode in the books. Foot Locker business. Last words from the OG. Signing off.
Not at all. To be continued. To be continued.
Till next time. All right, we're out. Soul Material Podcast.
Peace to you.